Now let's turn to this year's COP30 UN climate meeting. It's continuing in Belém in Brazil. There was a warning recently from scientists that global fossil fuel emissions will hit a new record this year. That's despite all the efforts and all the promises by nations around the world to cut greenhouse gases. The study from a team of more than 130 scientists shows that emissions from fossil fuels will rise by just over 1% this year. But the research also shows that emissions have grown much less quickly over the past decade as renewable energy has taken off, providing hope that the world's warming trend can still be curbed. Meanwhile, thousands of people have marched through the streets of Belém to demand stronger action on tackling global warming as the UN Climate Summit reaches its halfway point. Indigenous communities, youth groups and climate activists from across the world were among those joining the rally. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from Belém, Brazil, by Professor Chukwumerije Okereke, one of Nigeria's foremost international climatologists, who is a UN scientist and a globally recognized scholar on environmental policy and climate change. Thank you very much indeed, Professor, for joining us. You've been to several COP meetings. How does this one look?
Charles, this one has been particularly difficult on a number of fronts. First of all, getting to Belém itself has been a challenge. Then we have seen a collapse of infrastructure and logistics in the venue itself, with all the body scanners breaking down, with long queues up onto 3 kilometers emerging, and bags being searched manually. And we've also seen, on the positive side, a huge amount of demonstration by indigenous people and local people who are protesting for stronger voices for women and indigenous communities. It's been a difficult COP because of the location, but also because of the negotiation itself, which have been fraught with political intrigues and the fact that rich countries are really not stepping up to provide a roadmap for the finances that is required by poor countries to adapt to climate change.
And obviously that's a key point, but what's your view of the other key point, and the whole point really of the COP30, which is the continuing intense demand for fossil fuel energy? I mean, because there are conversations happening at COP30 which have been happening for more than 30 years about this, and there is a sense of being stuck, isn't there?
That you've placed your finger, in a sense, on the key issue. On the one hand, as you said in your introduction, the numbers are showing that we are actually heading up to 2.5 degrees average global warming by 2050, 2060, on the basis of the current numbers that we are seeing coming in from countries NDC, highlighting the need for more urgent action. So imagine a Makurdi averaging 40 to 45 degrees centigrade. Imagine people wading through waters in Port Harcourt to get to their offices. Imagine jollof rice being out of reach of ordinary Nigerians because tomatoes cannot be stored. Imagine national grid collapsing on a regular basis because of heat. And imagine schools shutting down midway because of heat waves. This is the kind of scenarios we see in Nigeria based on the numbers that are coming out from the models that I am used to. But on the other hand, rich countries have had to cough a lot of money to deal with COVID. We have Donald Trump on seat. We have had a strong sense from developing country citizens, rich country citizens, that they should not be sending money free of charge to Africa and other poor countries. So on the one hand, you see science telling us that we need to go faster to cut carbon, but also you see lack of money from rich countries and the new geopolitical calculus that is defining their domestic political calculations and praxis. And so these two tensions, if you like, has made COP a very, very tense and difficult place to be.
And
now, my sense is, go on.
Sorry, you mentioned Donald Trump there. I mean, are you seeing new kinds of coalitions that are forming in the absence of the US government? If so, what are you seeing under that heading, briefly?
Oh, so the government of Brazil, to a large extent with the support of the EUs, are pushing for a coalition of the willing. But Charles, the problem is that the money is not there. They just feel that they don't have the money. So at Belém, a lot of talk is now about private capital, private incentive, private equity money. But quite frankly, poor countries are saying that they do not want extra money coming in form of loans, which will put them in debt because they want to deal with climate change. So the dampening effect of Donald Trump and the US position is everywhere to be seen. Although, as I have said, there remains a strong appetite from Brazil, with the support of the EU, pushing for a coalition of willing of rich countries to fill the gap.
We've literally got about 30 seconds or so, and we appreciate your joining us. I mean, are you detecting small windows of innovation and hopeful changes of direction in this particular COP meeting? For example, in the new global ethical stock take, a real sort of focus, perhaps for the first time, on some of the moral and ethical questions underpinning the climate crisis?
The answer is yes. The noise is very loud, especially from women and indigenous communities. But in reality, also, we have a huge number of fossil fuel lobbyists here in the corridors and in the rooms. So yes, there is a new noise around climate justice, around just transition, but the practice and the practicalities remains very difficult to see how that will translate into more money for poor countries like Africa. But I keep my hope alive.
So do we. Prof, we want to thank you very much indeed. Professor Chukwuemeka Okereke is one of Nigeria's foremost international climatologists. He's a UN scientist, a globally recognized scholar on environmental policy and climate change, and he was talking to me on the line there from Belém, Brazil. Thank you very much indeed.